Okay, let's start. So today we will give you more insights about interrupts, timers, some pulse width modulation, and help you with the assignment. So if you would like to summarize the last discussion sections in minutes, if you remember, we introduced the concept of interrupt. Interrupt, we took the example of teacher, and the students are interrupting the teacher, and the main loop in the mbed is like the teacher, and someone is interrupting the main loop to do some action and return back. And we had timers. We introduced timers in mbed, which is like the stopwatch, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not like UTC or GMT timer. It's like a stopwatch. And then we combine both in something called ticker. Can anyone remind me what ticker is? Any hope? Okay. 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 What about others? Any red hope? You? Yeah. You didn't remember? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's combining the both concepts, the timer and the interrupt. As we said, the mbed APIs here in the timer doesn't give you the interrupt APIs. It's just a stopwatch with start and stop. However, the ticker give you the capability of schedule something and wake up at some time and do something, maybe something like that. So it's close to alarm or something, okay? So let's now think about if you are waiting your friend over the weekend and he's supposed to arrive. His timing is not good. So you have two options. William option. Is anyone here called William? Okay, that's good. I think I make sure, but just to double check. Okay, so William behavior will keep opening the door every 1 minute to check if his friend arrived or not. So again, the target is you are waiting your friend and he should arrive. So William will keep opening the door every 1 minute and keep checking if the friend arrived or not. The second, Bob, no Bob here, right? Okay, that's good. So he will work on solving the assignment and then use some doorbells. So he managed her time better, right? And instead of keep going to the door, checking someone come, no, close, return, it's waste a lot of time, right? These are two main concepts in embedded systems. So if I would like to do action every rising or falling edge in the assignment, he keep you to do action whenever something outside happens, right? Like this is our hexaware, and some other device give this signal, for example, or maybe push bottom or whatever. And he asks you to do action on every rising or falling edge or every 10 of them, whatever. So you will have two options. William one, bowling, keep opening the door, check if something happened on the bin, or Bob one, which is interrupt based direction. So he will keep working on the assignment, keep working on the main loop until something happens, and then he execute until his friend arrives. Then he will prepare the breakfast with us. Whatever interrupt handle is required at that moment, right? So as these are very important, so anyone can summarize the booling versus the interrupt. If I mentioned you solve it using booling, interrupts, compare. Anyone can summarize? Maybe all the way back. You changed your seat, so I will not ask you today. All the way. What's the difference between pooling and interrupt? Exactly. Yeah, like the doorbell. Just remember it by the doorbell. Okay? Whenever someone use the doorbell, you will execute some action. Otherwise, you are managing your time and doing assignments, studying, enjoying TV, whatever. Okay? So these are two directions in many tasks in embedded systems. Any idea which one is better? Pros, cons? Any guess? Who is talking? Oh, yeah.
Sometimes, but not always. But it's just like more like an event-based activity. So once you end that event up with one and a half, so much more efficient in terms of time.
Okay. What about implementation? Anyone can give insight there about the implementation? Is somewhat, yeah? Yeah, maybe let me give more hints. My question was clear. Any of them is hardware based? Interrupt is hardware based, right? Pooling is just software based. And what if the hardware doesn't support it? You have to go for the software based. So pooling is always available. Unless the hardware doesn't support most recent microcontrollers do interrupt. However, maybe they are limited on certain pins that are used, so you can go then to the pooling or whatever the action is. But keep in mind the two directions. Okay? We will investigate more now. Yeah, here just do other tasks in the main loop and attach interrupt handler. This is like the doorbell. So last time we introduced interrupts as a high level. I mentioned, if you remember, attach bottom up. Anyone can remind me about this API? Attach bottom up. It's not my code. It's API in the in mbed. We discussed this last time. Any help? Yeah, so what attach means? What's the real embedded? Come on guys, I mentioned this and I put a slide. I will ask you whenever you have children after 10 years and now it's only 10 days. I didn't remember. Okay.
Attach the address of the function. You want to execute that button. So whenever that button is triggered.
Yeah, let me rephrase it. Fill the interrupt vector, deal with the interrupt vector, to deal with the address, to tell mbed to execute this function whenever someone push that button, right? Everyone on the same page? Yeah? Okay. So now let's generalize. It's not bottom up, bottom down. We need to have some general stuff over all the bins. So there is API called, or structure called interrupt in. It's like an interface to trigger an event on a digital input, any bin on the hexaware. It's not only attached to the bottom up, bottom down, whatever. You can deal it with any bin. And it has two main important API for me, is rise API and fall API. So what rise mean? Rise is the voltage goes from 0 to 1. What 1 means? Why is something called 1? What 1 means? When I mentioned to you 1, what's 1? Yeah, what's high? Yeah, what's the number? It depends on the hardware. Maybe 5 voltage, 3 voltage, but high mean the high voltage. It's relative thing. We usually use Boolean like high and that from low to high. Low is the ground. Again, the ground is a relative thing. So if I'm connecting two mbeds, what connection are expected between these two mbeds? If I want, you have hexaware and he would have some other hexaware. If I would like to transfer something or trigger, how many connections should I expect? As an engineering sense, I would like you to get this engineering sense out of the course. If you look without reading, without understanding what's going on, okay, this is against sense. Okay, so what's the sense if both of you came to me and tell me, okay, I'm trying to trigger him, but it doesn't work. What's the sense here? How many connections should I see? 2. Why? I need a common ground. Ground or low is a relative thing. Every hardware has its own ground. So I have to agree on the ground and then provide high voltage or whatever signal, high, low, whatever. But without agreeing on the ground, I cannot tell. It will be buggy, right? What high mean? What high voltage mean? It's relative to my ground, right? So we have to agree on the ground first. Okay. So here, I would like to just print if some text whenever a rising edge or falling edge happens. So anyone can help, like pseudocode or some idea what the code will be. So again, my goal is do print if whenever there is a rising edge or falling edge. Maybe number of rising edge, I think on the assignment or whatever, some printf. Okay, this is what? This is William or Bob? Remember, William is the guy who keep opening the door. And Bob, he is the one who used the doorbell. So this is William. Keep bullying. I cannot say it's wrong, but it will not be accurate as it's software based. Okay, so the other suggestion is exactly. I will use Bob direction, which is the interrupt. So let's focus in Bob direction, and now we know the high level. We will go with Bob. How to do it? Just the pseudocode. Expectation of the software. Otherwise, by sense, I will say this will not work. I can remind you with the API. Okay. Okay. So.
I would make 2 functions add them there. That reference is kind of like a volatile in, and then you're being to pull that volatile in and see if that's a step or not, and based on that, right? Because you can't put synthetic in ISO.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We will discuss these. Okay. What's your input? Yeah, you can repeat as they say different things, but. But how to do this rise and fall? What's rise and fall mean? It's attach. It's our attach to fill the interrupt vector. So when I ask you about sense, okay, I expect to fill the vector with the address. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. So I expect you to tell me, okay, I should see some place in the main loop to tell mbed what to do or where is the address of the function to call whenever a rise happens. Okay, what's your input? What do you think? Can you follow us? Don't be shy. Just mention. Okay. Do you understand what rise and fall? Okay, what's the difference? Sorry, what's the difference between rise and fall? Sorry? Yeah, whatever you want, in any aspect, you know. So, let me help you. Rise is like what to do, or let me go through the code easy at this stage. Okay. So I expect in the main. So here, let's go from the beginning. I define some bin BDT2. It's some bin, okay? Then I define this interrupt. I call it catch change. Up to me, I can call it Amr, my name, anything. And attach this interrupt with the same bin. Okay, until now it's up to me. Then let's go to the main loop. And the printf just welcome. Then catch change.rise and catch change.fall. What catch change, rise, and fall is doing is filling the vector with the addresses, right? So whenever rise happen, execute the rise handler. Whenever fall happen, execute the fall handler. So do you understand? Okay, can you summarize now what's the difference between fall and rise? How to use them? Don't be shy. I was in your place, so just ask, say whatever you want. We are just few students and all of us are learning. I am learning too. So, what rise? Do you remember interrupt vector from last time? So we are telling mbed to execute something whenever something happens, and we get mbed the address to execute the address of the function. So rise mean whenever on the bin there is a rising, do some action. Whenever there is fall from high to low, do other action. Okay? And here I am telling mbed C, whenever a rise happen, go and execute rise. Whenever fall happen, go and execute fall. Okay, all of you are on the same page? Okay. Now, this is my hexaware. It's floating now. Can you see? This is BDG2. Why the main loop keep printing value 1? If you remember, I am reading here the value. I do wait and I read the value. So why it keep reading value 1? It's floating. Yeah, it's not connected. Why it's 1? Who said? I just started, I just press reset. Okay. So what do you think? Why? Do you get the question? So the question is, I am reading in the main loop the value on this pin, and it keep reading 1, 1, 1. 1 is like high voltage. Why it's 1? Grounded? It's 1. 1 mean high voltage, 5, 3, whatever the hardware is. So why it's reading 1, given that in the picture it's floating? Any idea? Which slide? This one? I didn't do anything. I just read. GBION, read. I just reading the value. Okay, so there is concept called pull-up resistor, as she mentioned, and pull-down resistor. Any of you heard about this before? This is configurable inside the hexaware, or I'm not sure about hexaware, but most of the MCUs or microcontrollers support this. So internally, it will have this. So whenever it's floating, it's reporting 1 because it's connected to the VCC or the high voltage or the 1. What about the figure if it's pulled down? how the figure will look like. Yeah, exactly. It's the ground, and here it will be maybe VGC or whatever. Okay. So that's why it's keep reading 1. Do you got me? Okay. Floating means it's not connected to anything. Yeah, it has to be this. This is the real life. It's binary. Real life is, there is no gray. It's either black or white. Yes, most of the microcontrollers support configuring this. So what's the default? There is no gray. It's binary, either 1 or 0. So it's either ball down or ball up. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying my question here, that I am reading now in the main loop this bin, and it's floating. Floating means it's not connected to anything. So and the value which I am reading is 1. 1 means high voltage, VCC or whatever. So why this pin, when I read the value in the program, it gives me 1. It's floating. Why not 0? Okay. So, and here is the answer. Here it's configured to be, or the default is ball up resistor. So whenever it's floating without the button, this is the floating bin. It's balled up to VC. This is the name came from balled up or balled down.
Are you assuming that the photo operation and the photo operation are the same?
No, you cannot. You are saying, can we put both?
So if the photo operation and the photo operation are the same, so
No, the connection will be different. Here, forget about bottom, okay? This is the floating. The default is VCC. Okay? In the ball down, the default will be ground instead of this VCC. Forget about the bottom if it's confusing. So this is pull up. So if it's floating, it will keep reading 1, 1, 1, 1. That's why my hexaware is floating and keep reading 1, 1, 1. Okay, now let's play. Here it's 1, then I will do falling. How I will do falling on hexaware? How I do falling on the bin? How to cause falling edge on a bin? Exactly. Which ground? It has to be hexaware ground, okay? As this is what it understands, right? So here, sorry, maybe the light, can we turn off the light a little bit? Let's try if it's good. Is it better, or will you sleep like this? Which one is better? Okay, let me try this. This is better? All of you would like the light? Okay. So here I'm connecting to this ground. This is the ground in hexaware. So I'm connecting VDC2 to the ground. I'm causing falling edge. And as expected from my code, if I'm doing falling, go and execute this. And what this is printing, falling handler from 1 to 0. This is what happens. Falling handler from 1 to 0. Okay? So it's fine. And now why it's 0 like this? It's connected to the ground. Now let's do the other way around. It's connected to the ground, and I will remove it. It's now rising. So again, the rising edge works. So do you have any problem with this code? Do you think it's perfect? Okay, let's see. If you write this code, you will be fired. This is wrong. Okay, why you will be fired? It works well, but why? printf is a crazy thing to do in the ISR. You have to minimize ISR. You know serial how it goes, right? You are configuring baud rate, communication. Why? Why to do printf in the ISR? So do you got why you are fired? Or why am I fired? I am the one who wrote. Okay? So all of you got? What's the problem? So, okay, let's take this. I'm discussing now, and you ask question about maybe some movie, or maybe ask me question from like basics high school. For me, it's a blocking question. I should refuse this. I will not answer. It's the same thing. I'm doing crazy stuff in the interrupt. Your question should be quick interrupt, quick thing, quick response. As I have work to do here, I cannot keep forever answering your high school questions. You with me? So the interrupt should be quick. Minimize as much as possible. Okay? So now let's suggest how to minimize. Do you got a problem? printf is a serial communication, which is slow, consume time, may block, whatever. Okay? Do you got? Or if you are good? Okay? Now, so save your White House position and avoid these extra time-consuming tasks in the interrupt handler. Okay? So now I would like to replace them. I would like to save my career and replace them. Any idea? So, okay. So for example, yeah, maybe. What's your number? Yeah. Yeah, so use like a flag, right? As assigning x equal 1 or flag equal 1, of course, is not like printf. X or flag equal 1 should be one thing, one single cycle in the processor, right? We are talking about cycles. You are embedded systems designer, so it's processor cycle or whatever. So let's hear what I did. Okay. And if you remember in the assignment, he asked you to count the number of edges or whatever, right? So let's try this. I commented out the printf. And now I just do rising counter equal rising counter plus 1, falling counter equal fall counter plus 1, and here just checking the flag. It's your answer or someone also other one answer. So here I am just checking the flag. And printf the flag value, then put the flag back to 0. So if the flag is high, printf do the action which was supposed to be done here in the comment, right? This is the old version. Now I do it here. And then I put the flag down. So whenever it's raised up, I do the job, then goes down. The last one, my hobby to bother the last guy. So what do you think? Yeah, sure. So what's the difference between my previous slide of printing F here in the ISR and doing this flag thing? Yeah, in the interrupt handler I cannot do serial communication. Don't do extensive extra tasks. If it's needed, okay, I cannot do anything. But here it's not needed. There is workaround. I can just assign flag and do the job in the main loop. Okay, but we agreed last time that the interrupt is executed on the processor and the main loop is executed in the processor. So why I bother you now? What's the difference between executing printf here and executing printf here? No, it's only one process.
The main loop processing won't happen in the interface because the tail was so much the main result is
Okay. Anyone can add something?
The timing might not be the same. You may have some delay in terms of
Why? Both of them are running with the processor. Okay. So what do you think? Don't know. Okay. All of you are around the same thing. Let me rephrase. The priority of the ISR is much higher than the main. So if I am saying to mbed, I'm doing very important stuff, don't bother me. However, it's just printf, it's not important at all. So you will miss important things. So don't put here extra stuff which is not important and not urgent. Printf is not so urgent. Just assign flag and do it here. Right? Don't block high priority stuff. So as the interrupt has higher priority than the main loop. If I am executing the printf here and I am in the C, fall and then printing C, and something important happens, I will not miss that. I will do the important task, as other interrupts can interrupt the main loop. However, if the interrupt has highest priority, no one can interrupt it. It will block the main processor, right? Okay, let's see. Now it looks good. If I do like this, falling edge, main loop was 1, falling counts equal 1. I printed the number of falling counts and then it goes to 0. If it's rising, it was 0 and then print and then 1. All of you are good with this code? What's your problem?
Go back. Well, if you interrupt right after PC output, right?
Which one? This one here?
Yeah, if you interrupt there and you now go back to the rising hammer, or rather,
I got your point. It's important. However, there is more tricky stuff. It's important. I put it in one of the slides as offline discussion. But it's important. Thanks for catching this. But there is more important thing that will break this. And you will be fired.
the code, the compiler reorganized code, then it might be
Okay, let's ask the compiler not to mess with my code. Most of the compiler has this option. Don't optimize. Optimization, if it's not good, it will mess your code. So let's agree and let's ask the compiler, okay, I'm smart, I know what I'm doing, don't optimize. Okay? So let's see what happened and try to debug. Here, I just put it to the ground. However, it's crazy. I just do this. It was high and I put it to the ground, however, it's crazy. Falling counts 84 and rising count 39. Just crazy values. Why?
maybe it's because mathematics is the same.
No. Why it's crazy here? Let's look to the code. I didn't do anything. Falling, attach the interrupt, everything makes sense, okay?
So the executed noise, what you put the ground,
Which noise?
it's still, barely above 0. It should be right.
The ground is clear ground. And the high voltage is clear high. It's the same hex array. Okay, so Exactly. This is called bouncing. Switch bounce. If I'm pushing it like this, my hands is not perfect. It may like fluctuate. This is signals and it's very accurate thing. So it's called switch bounce. Whenever I try to push the switch, it may goes up and down like this. If I'm not super accurate and super careful, okay, let's go from 1 to 0 to have one count. This can be solved on software or hardware. Hardware adds some circuits to avoid this stupid signal. It's close to the noise which you mentioned, but not really. So you see, this is what happens because of the bouncing. It goes up and down and keep counting crazy numbers. So hardware circuit. Okay, can you solve this on software if you don't have hardware capability? How to solve this? Yeah, exactly. If it's counter within some time, if it's super short, okay, it's obvious that it's bouncing. I cannot, the normal user cannot in 1 second do full count 84 and rising count 39. It's very obvious it's something wrong here, right? So by software you can avoid, but of course the best is hardware support. So now this is your issue. What if the interrupts come during here while I'm equating to 0? What if frequent interrupts before handling the interrupt? Can you provide better code? So this is like for offline discussion, thinking more. But the two issues which I mentioned are very critical.
We have to worry about this issue.
No, don't worry. Sorry? Yeah, we have to make sure how much time does it take to enable and disable. What's enable and disable? Is writing to the register. And is it good register like high, like cache, so the accessing is very high, or bad, whatever. So just investigation, opinion, this is maybe better, this is maybe better, just further investigation. Now, pulse width modulation. How many of you heard about pulse width modulation before this class? Which class was it? Yeah, so what pulse width modulation is used for? Yeah, this is correct. As they are simulating analog out of pulse width, changing the pulse width and so on. So it has so many usage like controlling motors, whatever. Here we care about generating accurate pulse width modulation. So what's the two main parameters that make sense if I ask you, I need pulse width modulation? You should ask me back, what's the period and what's the duty cycle? The period is, you know, when it will repeat again, right? And what about duty cycle? All of you are aware of this duty cycle? Are you? What's duty cycle mean? Exactly, the percentage of, so this is 50-50, 50 high, 50 low, 50 high, 50 low. This is 75, 75 high, 25 low, and so on. So it's like percentage of being high comparing to the whole period. Okay, mbed is nice. It has this period and it has pulse width and it has, oh, I think I missed here the period, whatever. So here it's super easy. mbed provide you API. By the way, is pulse width modulation in Hexaware hardware or software? Hardware support, right? That's why it's super accurate, right? But can we do it software? You can, of course, right? So here I can do pulse width period and assign 0.01 period, and then duty cycle 50-50 and while 1. That's it. Super easy, right? Okay. How many of you deal with oscilloscope before? How many of you deal with oscilloscope? Okay, great. So, how to read the oscilloscope? Anyone can help? This is oscilloscope figure. How to read it? Let me turn off the light for this as there is tiny numbers. How to read this oscilloscope figure? Who is talking? I cannot see now. Okay. Okay, this is time and this is voltage. Okay. Okay, let's assume it's voltage and time as you said. Okay, for example here, is it time equal 10 minutes, 5 seconds? How to know? Also the y-axis, what's the scale? How to know? Yeah, without option. I give you the figure now. Can you interpret it? I just print F the figure. Not print F by taking photo by my phone. Anyone can help? If it's not clear, tell me, but just what you are looking for when you... Yeah, so you have to look for numbers which represent the cell. How much is the cell in Y and X? Okay, so let's see. This is 1 voltage for the Y and 5 milliseconds for the X. Okay, so this is the duty cycle. What's the period out of the oscilloscope now? Can anyone tell me the period and the duty cycle, given that you know what's Y and X? Period is? No. 10 milliseconds. As 1 cell is 5. So the period is 2. Right? So it's 10 milliseconds. So does it agree with our pulse width modulation? Yeah? It agrees. Okay. Super easy, super straightforward. How many of you read the pulse width modulation thread on Piazza? I think there is 2 students who raised the question. Who are the students who raised the question? Okay, there is another anonymous. You can continue to be anonymous, of course, but just to know who. Okay, you are who raised the question, right? Yeah, I think your name was there somewhere, right? Yeah, sure. For me too. So life is not that easy. So yeah, before discussing this problem, let's teach you the cursor. There is cursor in the oscilloscope to measure tiny stuff. So for example, now it's not aligned with the cell, as you can see, right? So how to measure from here to there? There is something called vertical cursor. As you can see, this dashed yellow vertical lines, and here it's delta X 10 milliseconds. Why it's minus? Where is the start? So it doesn't matter. Yeah, exactly. Don't worry about the minus. 1 over delta X like the frequency. So it's 10 milliseconds. So it's good. And there is also horizontal cursor, which is this. If I would like to measure the voltage change, just assign and see here delta Y. It's 3 point something voltage. So you can either by eye see how many cells, and you can use cursors. Most of the oscilloscope have this. It's different configuration, different how to read it, how to do it. but the concept should be the same. Now, life is not that easy. I just assign here 0.07, so it should give me 70 milliseconds. This was the thread on Piazza. As you can see here, okay, what's the period now here? Anyone can tell? Now this is the configuration in the code, right? It's how much? 70 milliseconds. What's the oscilloscope reading? 95 what? 95 microseconds. So it's totally horrible. I'm glad that this happened to let us think how to debug embedded systems. So I will use this as an example of buggy embedded system, and let's see how to think and how to solve it. By the way, I sent the email to Professor Manny about this problem before any of you raised the problem, but I have some doubts that it's only my hardware. I was waiting anyone to cry or scream out. Then some of you mentioned, that's why I replied so quickly. If you notice, of course I didn't measure at that time. I was ready. I was waiting your response. If it's also on your hardware or not. At that time as well, I was in home, having access to only one XOS. So let's first understand where a bug can come from in embedded system. It can come from your C++ code, high level. It can come from the hardware, maybe some APIs in the library or mbed OS, maybe some environmental effect, temperature, whatever, that grabs the sensors, whatever. It's an embedded system. It has physical and software, like physical interaction with the digital life, like processors. So many things to debug. It's not like your C++ calculator or something, right? It's much more complex, and you have to expand your way of thinking. There's so many things to consider. So how to fix a buggy embedded system? Okay. First you have to catch the problem. How to catch the problem? At that time I was in home. I don't have access to anything. So I was using some debugging tricks like printf, counters, counting the writing edge. Why it's super crazy like this? How I code this problem? How did I catch this problem? I didn't catch it by oscilloscope. I catch it by counting the writing edge. Okay? And I see crazy numbers. Doesn't make sense. Okay, let's see what's going on. So, software debugging, it will give you some sense as long as you understand and don't mess with printf, serial communication, everything like this. Don't be afraid of considering extra hardware to debug. It's embedded and your hands should be dirty with this stuff. So oscilloscope, whatever. So maybe look into the API. If it's open source, this is more deeper level, right? Data sheet, whatever to consider. So many things. So start by easy stuff. Make sure. So what I did at that time, I just used the hello world. I think you posted the hello world, right? You posted the hello world example. I just used their code to make sure it's not my code problem. Then let's move forward and debug more. Okay, now back to the pulse width modulation. I need to count the rising edge. It's not push bottom now, so it's not that slow like the human push bottom. as you said, as you notice, it was milliseconds. So it's not second, it's milli. So how to catch it? It's even maybe reach to micro. So how to count the rising edge per second? This was my first debugging way. I was trying to count the rising edge per second to get some sense about the period. Can anyone, if you face the one who is the one who raised, you are the one. Okay, you should as a first at the beginning to debug by counting the rising edge per second. You don't have access to the oscilloscope. However, you don't have access to oscilloscope, right? However, you can do software tricks. How to count the rising edge per second. Okay, what about this? Close to what you did. So here I did period 0.01 duty cycle something, and then rise, attach the handler, and in the handler I just count. I should call it count, sorry for the bad name. So, and if you have problem with this, reset what? By the way, I need to count per second. So what should I do? I think I did a mistake in this copy. Okay. Yeah, I think I missed it here. When I just copy the code, I will edit it in the final version. But I think no, I did miss it. Okay, let's see the output. I just subtract. I don't need to reset. You can reset, of course, but here I didn't reset. I just noticed by eye. Yeah, just to have count per second. But you can always subtract like this minus this will be the difference, right? You can do it by eyes. Of course, it's better to reset. So count. Yeah, even here I mentioned after more 1 second. So I keep counting. Okay. So from 0, so it's 1, 0, 4, 2, 0, 8. Does this make sense or not? Why? Who said yeah? Let me turn the light on so that I can see. Okay. Does this make sense? These numbers. Mm-hmm.
How are you keeping track of 1 second left while you are waiting for 1 second?
Yeah. Wait.
So, when it's in the right time, it will be counting.
Yeah, you can answer. Can you guess?
I mean, that's the only way you can.
As which one has the higher priority? The interrupt or the main loop? Interrupt. So if I'm interrupted during the wait, I'm still good. Yeah, you are asking about the extra stuff. Yeah, okay. Okay, I will discuss this. Yeah, you are right, but we can consider more things. But I'm asking now, does this number, I'm debugging the problem, right? So does this number make sense or not? I think we still have 1 hour, right? Okay. I will give you break, by the way. I thought that this is lecture. I should get break. So maybe Okay, let's break here. Think about if it makes sense or not. Then continue after 5 minutes. Okay. Hi, so let's continue. So my question before the break, I'm sure no one thought about it, but my question was, so my question was, does these numbers make sense for you? My question was, does these numbers make sense for you? So let's remember what was the configuration. It was period 0.01 second. And the numbers are like this. Does this make sense or no? Okay, why? Why? 100? I'm here counting. So why it makes sense? Just counting here. There is no unit for this count. Right? Or there is?
You're counting right now.
Yeah.
So if you set period of 0.01, then you should have one raising edge every 10 milliseconds.
Yeah, okay. And now, why it's 100 something?
It's 1 second.
Exactly. So, all of you are on the same page? Okay, why now it's not accurate? Why it's not perfect 100? Overhead of?
Just running the count.
Not really. As even, yeah, the code is here. Okay, one answer was the wait time is not perfect. Printing takes time. Sure. What else? Sure. But let me continue on the weight thing, as this is the most easiest and obvious answer. Why the weight is not perfect? As it's weight 1 and 1 is in seconds. So why you are saying weight is not perfect? Step by? What do you mean? This is API. This API is in mbed and its unit is second, and I'm saying weight 1. So why you are saying?
Because of remembering to the timer stuff and brings the timer, the wait time, it's not perfect.
Yeah, why you are saying that this weight is not perfect? You are taking mbed. Why? Exactly, because it's a software time, right? It's not a hardware base. Whenever you deal with software and time, and so whenever you deal with time and software, most probably it will not be accurate. So wait 1 second, it's a software timer. It's not a hardware timer. Okay, did I describe it before? Hardware timer? Hardware based timer? I feel that I deal with RAM people. Guys, I just started with this. It was sticker. Okay, let me go for it. This was the whole 50 seconds plus timer and tickers. These are hardware timers. Are you sleeping? Still here? I was watching one of the videos. I don't remember. It was about some and the instructor asks all the students to stand up as they are doing like what you are doing with me now, and ask them to jump. It was super funny for me. Ask them to jump in their places just to wake up. I will not use this for now, but let's have it as a backup plan. So where we stopped? We are, sorry for going back and forth. Yeah, we are here, and you mentioned weight is not accurate. That's why I added in the printf approximate. This will give you some sense in debugging. It's not accurate, but 110, 100, even 150. I can accept it and understand it, but 1000 is not accepted. This is your engineering sense. If I see in the log 1000, given that the period is millisecond, this doesn't make sense. It's not about accuracy at all, right? This is against sense. Something major is wrong, right? Like software, hardware, whatever. And this is how you debug by some printf in software. So now I will help you with the assignment, how to measure the periods. I want to measure the period of some pulse width modulation. How to measure the period. Okay. Okay, anyone else?
For the previous example you counted, you can just divide 1 by the count.
Okay, 1 by the count, okay. But I would like to make it accurate and get the full mark, as many ask for accurate stuff. Okay, as we agreed that the weight is not perfect, right? So we need the full mark. So how to do it accurate, in a very accurate fashion? All of you got the question? Okay, we would like to measure the period. I lost you. Hi. Hi. Just ping him. Yeah. So here we are asking a nice question, and there's a baby here. Look cool. So the question is how to measure the period. Okay. So before you write any code, you should have some algorithm in your mind. If you just open and try to code, for sure you are doing something wrong. You have to have some sense or algorithm in your mind before. All of you did programming in C++, so I need to catch this time and catch this time and get the difference, right? All of us agree on this level. Okay, now the second step, how to catch this time. And how to catch this time. He suggested to make the count and then convert the counts to time. However, we agreed that the weight, which I used in the previous, it's a software-based time, so it will not be accurate. So my question now, how to do it in an accurate fashion. I think you mentioned something. So any more suggestions?
So now we have the timer and the counter. The counter stops on 0. So the first 5 minutes counting, the counter resets to 0. And the timer restarts, which is set to 0 as well. And And once the counter value is 1, we just stop the timer and read the time.
So why you are counting this? So there is two approaches, either counting or timer, right? If you are just doing the counting to count for 1, so there is no counting here, right? Just think, try to revisit. This is how the algorithm is developed. You write something and then, okay, this does make sense. Let's revisit. Okay, this until you solve. So now you raised a good suggestion. We have counter and we have timer. Okay, but you are just counting to 1, so you don't need the count unless you are going with his way of keep counting and then convert the count to time. But you already have timing. Why you need the counting? Do you get me? So now, how to do the timing? Yeah, but how to catch them? Yeah, which interrupt? I have rise and I have fall. Yeah, mention the rise. So if you got rise, you will got every rise. So what you will do? You like rise or fall or both? I need a period. How you will do it?
So I can have like a
Mm-hmm.
so the first one is index 0, second one is index 1.
Okay. Any more? So what about you? I didn't bring you at all. Flags, okay. Flags for rising or falling. Okay, now I got flags every rising. What you will do is flag. As flag means 0 or 1. Here it will be 1 and here it will be 1 again. And you can reset in between. What do you want to do? Okay, well, you cannot. Okay, okay, continue. Okay. 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 Anyone can help more? You can. And will you do rising or falling or both? Just do big rising. Okay. So let's see. I forgot what I did. So here I say way 1. I think there's way 2 then. Okay, that's good. So what I did here, let's go. I picked, as you said, rising, and I read the time here. But I do new reading and I'm checking new reading and printf period. Why this messy code here? I'm following your suggestion. Yeah, I'm following your suggestion by having rising, but I see messy code like new reading, checking new reading. Is this needed or no? And this is the output if you would like. This is on the terminal and this is the software. You didn't talk at all. You are just doing Facebook and they see you. What's your input here?
I don't know.
Why add new reading?
Well, I feel like you don't need to read new reading because the reading is the same every time. So after we've read it once, we can just stop.
Okay, so I don't want repetitive measurement, right? Okay, just I don't want to keep printing F the same period. It's not a new information, right? Do you got me? Why I do new reading? Do you got me? Why I am doing new reading? Yes, as if you are getting measurement, it does make sense to keep sending the same measurement. I did it once, and I sent it once, so why I should keep sending the same information? So this is one way, like read, but why I do reset start here? And can I swap them? And can I put reset start at the beginning? Some crazy question. Exactly. I am resetting. I am losing the value before resetting, right? And I have to reset then start because of this nice API. This start is like a buzz, not a. It will not start from scratch. You got me? Okay. So now, does the numbers make sense? Does the number make sense? I will ask you to jump if you don't answer. So either answer or jump. Okay, now all of you answer. Okay. So now, yeah, it's not perfect because some delay here and there, but it's 05999 instead of 06, right? Which is accepted, right? Okay. Now I need another way by making use of rising and falling. Anyone can help? I don't want to depend on rising. Just make it hard. Can you do it by falling and rising?
Yeah.
How?
Multiply by 2.
It's not 2, as the duty cycle can change.
That's right.
Find the difference in subtraction by 1.
Which difference?
Forward minus right.
So okay, I have so deal with me as I didn't understand anything. So I have interrupt at rising, interrupt at falling. What should I do?
So you capture the time and hold.
Okay, I have now timer T1 and T2. What you will do?
So find T2 minus T1.
Okay, now you got the high time.
Yeah.
How to get the low time?
The low is always in PWM high plus low equal to 1.
How to get the low?
I'm not sure of exact value, but it's 1 minus I equal to 0.
Okay, can anyone reply to him? You know, I need just to raise your engineering sense. He is saying, don't feel bad, just we are learning, right? So time 1 here and time 2 here. And he is saying that I can calculate the whole period based on 2 readings. Does this make sense? Yes, see? Just raise your engineering sense and you will break your algorithm. Right? Without going into the math or Googling what's the equation. It's against sense. I cannot get the whole period with 2 readings like this. I need a 3rd reading, for sure. See, I break you. I'm just trying to teach myself and you also how to break things with sense. Only sense. Okay? Without opening the code, without debugging, no Googling, just sense. Okay, now how to do it? Okay.
And you reset the time and you start the timer. And another when you
So wait. Here I start time. Here I stop the time. And I got the high time until now. So until now we got the high time. What's the next step?
and then you reset.
So you're asking here in the falling to reset.
Yeah.
Then reset and start, or reset and just stop it?
Reset.
Okay, reset and start here. Then
And when you have the max, then you stop the timer and you stop the
you mean in the rising here?
Yeah.
But how you will know if this is the first time or second time? Do you need to know this? And here you mentioned start time and then stop here, then here stop again. But here you already started. You got me that it's only 2 handlers. It's not 3 handlers. So it has to be 2 functions. One at rising. So all of them at rising are the same. And all of them at falling are the same.
Every time when you stop the timer, and then you reset.
If you start and reset every time in rising and falling,
Yeah.
and what to do in the main loop then? As in the main loop you don't know what's going on. How to do this? I'm not saying it's wrong, just asking.
You just print every the time you break.
Brent?
Yeah.
Brent what?
Print the stop time. Print the
Which time? I have multiple now. You said I'm doing this and I'm doing this and doing this. Which time?
when you stop at the falling edge, you can have the fall, like the high time.
Mm-hmm.
You can remember the high time, and when you stop at the rising edge, you can have the low time.
Okay.
So the main goal to just bring the high time well.
Okay. Anyone has more suggestion? Any extra? Anything? No? See. Here I'm trying to measure the high time and the low time. And I choose to use 2 timers. You can be more smart and use 1 timer, but here I'm doing simple. 1 timer for high and 1 timer for low. And I have 2 handlers, 1 for rising edge and 1 for falling edge. So let's see how I did it. In the rising handler, I have to start the T high timer, as I will start measuring this time. But I have also to stop the T low and save it in timer reading low. So here I save the reading, stop, then start the high time. Maybe I can swap them, like stop the read. Yeah, it may give better results. Here in the falling handler, I will do the other way around. So I will read the high timer and stop it, as it's already done. I'm in the falling now. And I will now start measuring the low timer. So the low timer will be stopped in the rising, in the next rising, as I said. So remember that you have only 2 handlers and it's periodic. So this rising will repeat again, and this falling will repeat again. So you have to think in a periodic fashion. Of course, the way 1 is much easier. However, here I'm just trying to make it difficult to just have fun with 2 timers. And here in the printf, I just printf the high time and plus the low time. And here I'm configuring just the pulse width modulation. Yeah, one of the students asked about the assignment question, and I was saying it's not accepted to just trivially print this configuration in the printf. No, we need you to measure the time. So as you can see in my printf here, I did not use this pulse width period or pulse width, whatever the configuration. I didn't use the configuration. I measure the time of, using some interrupts and some timers, as you can see here, and I depend on this pin BDT2, and it should be connected to the pulse width modulation out of BDT10. So that's it. So now let's start